Hey guys, it's Adrian. Listen, one thing I will say about myself is if I'm wrong, I will admit it. I'll be the first to admit it, own it, and have a laugh at myself. Pageant talent, the talent section. It's something that until recently I never really understood. And apologies, by the way, about the lighting. I'm trying to get some sun. I'm back in Australia now and it's freezing, so I'll take any sun I can get. As soon as I got back to Australia, it was absolutely pouring with rain. They called it a rain bomb or something. Anyway, I always viewed talent as sort of like the dancing monkey section. It was like someone getting a stick and poking you and saying, perform, do something to entertain the audience. And I never really understood it. I will say here in Australia, I don't know if it's that we don't have a lot of pageants that have talent sections, or I just happen to not stumble across them. Maybe it's a combination of both. But I mean, and I say that because from what I've seen, obviously the Miss Volunteer America system has talent, the Miss America system has talent, but both of those systems are scholarship systems, which again, I haven't heard of at all in Australia. And recently, as I said in previous posts and recent videos, I've really become a big proponent of, because I think as nice as it might be to win opportunities that are valued at $5 billion, I think it's more tangibly useful to win a scholarship or cash scholarship towards a debt-free graduation. And I say this especially if you're watching or listening from America, where the cost of education is absolutely enormous. It's different in Australia. It's not free, but it's a lot less than what it costs in somewhere like America. And look, my whole pageant journey started basically because I wanted to see if I was right about pageants. I had a certain opinion about pageants. I didn't really think lowly of them, but I didn't really think very highly of them either. And I thought, well, the only way you can really make an informed decision or judgment about something is if you go and experience it yourself. Now, obviously, I can't compete in them myself, but I can do the next best thing, which is to talk to a whole bunch of you. And so I did that. And obviously, my opinion about pageants has changed. Otherwise, I wouldn't still be here almost a decade later and having done over 300 interviews. So I did the same with talent. And so when I started interviewing a few of the Miss Volunteer America girls, frankly, when I interviewed Berkeley Bryan, and heard about her tap routine to Blue Suede Shoes, it sort of made me pay attention, because it was like, hang on, now, as I've written in that article below, I've had some really bad experiences with some pageant talent videos and seeing some pretty, you know how they put up videos about worst pageant interview answers, similar to those sorts of ones, but with talent. And I watched one in particular that I think the YouTube channel 2 Set, they did a reaction video to, and it was like, the video was titled something like worst violin fails or something like that. And I watched this video of a former Miss Mississippi contestant playing violin for her talent. Now, I don't want to cast any shade on the girl, because I'm sure she did her best. I'm sure she was nervous. But as a classically trained violinist myself, it was not a good performance. It was pretty excruciating, if I'm honest. And so I kind of thought, well, if that's pageant talent, then count me out. And so when I saw Berkeley's performance, or when I heard about it, I was immediately intrigued. And then obviously I was over in Tennessee a couple of weeks ago to watch the Miss Volunteer America pageant. And I have to say, the highlights for me really were getting to see the talent section, particularly if I had interviewed the contestant before and I gotten to speak to her and gotten to know her, and then you would see her light up on stage in a way that, we don't get to see interviews are done behind closed doors, so we don't get to see that. But people often say, oh, you get to display your personality on stage when you're strutting in your swimsuit or your gown. And I'm like, do you? Do you really? I don't know, like everyone seems to need to display the same sort of, oh, be confident, be sassy, be fun, be flirty. And so I don't really think you're displaying your personality as much as you're almost acting out a part. But talent is completely different because you have free reign as to what you want to do. There, at Miss Volunteer America itself, there was aerials, there was drumming, there was singing, there was dancing, there was poetry. And so as much as you might think, or some people like to say, you can display your personality when you're strutting around in a swimsuit, I don't think it's nearly the same as when it comes to talent. Because in talent, first of all, it's like, well, what are you going to pick? And some girls will pick the singing, and that's probably a safe choice for them because they can sing really well. Others will go for something they haven't done before and try to push the edge. One thing that I really, I wasn't aware that girls did for talent was doing, so Haley Reinhurst did a dance piece, but the background was not really music. But it was her spoken word detailing her struggles overcoming her speech impediment as a child, which is something we discussed in her interview. And so she combined the spoken word as a soundtrack, her spoken word, to her artistic dance, her expressive dance on stage. And so, and then not only is it the choice of talent, it's how you perform it. Obviously, something like dance is hugely expressive. Singing is hugely expressive. There were a couple of violin performances as well, which I'm happy to say were much better than the one that I had seen before. I was a little bit nervous, to be fair, but they did very, very well. I actually wanted to chat to both of them at visitation and just say, hey, I loved your violin performance as a violinist myself. I didn't get to do that. But talent really allows you to showcase your personality in a way that I don't think any of the other sections do. And I think one of the most interesting parts was I had interviewed Miss Maryland volunteer Brooke Nixon, and we had talked a lot about cybersecurity. She was a very interesting interviewer. She interviews very well. She came third runner-up, I think, as well. She did very well in the competition. But I realized when we came to talent section, I was like, we didn't discuss your talent at all during our interview, and our interview was about an hour long. And Brooke, by the way, speaks quite quickly. So, an hour with her is maybe the equivalent of an hour and a half with anyone else. I will say she speaks very well. She speaks quickly, yet she speaks very well. Not everyone can do that. So I was like, hang on, you play the drums, and like you work in cybersecurity, like what? And that moment where it's go, hang on, we talk cybersecurity in an interview, and now here you are performing a drum solo to Aerosmith and rocking out. And I just thought that is so cool. There are very few things in pageantry at this point that surprise me, because most pageants are the same sections, same sort of pageant cliches said again and again, same cliche interview questions, sometimes same cliche interview answers, unfortunately. And so it was nice to have that sort of surprise of, wow, this talent section is an amazing showcase, not only of the girls' abilities, but their personality in many different ways. It could be storytelling or just how expressive they are during the performance. I will say, I think a lot of my enjoyment came down to how well the production values, and I said this before and I'll say it again till I'm blue in the face, the production value at Miss Volunteer America was second to none. I've never seen any pageant quite like it in terms of how well they give the girls that moment on stage. So if you've been preparing for a whole year or 6 months, whatever it is, and you've been working your butt off, you've been volunteering for very worthy causes, but you've been putting in your blood, sweat, and tears into this pageant. And given that Miss Volunteer America is a scholarship system, you're probably studying at least part-time or full-time or looking to do that as well, and you've probably got a full-time job to cover. It's not like you have an abundance of time. And so for these girls, even if they didn't win, I mean, not winning is always a disappointment for most of us. But just having that moment to sing or to dance or to perform on stage in front of a packed audience, and with the lighting on stage being immaculate, and you've got cameras everywhere, and all this production value going on, and the sound sounds really good, and people at home can watch you on the live stream for free, by the way. Can we say something about that? I got to imagine that that is a moment that many of the girls will never get to experience again, because how often, like if you like singing, for example, how often do you get to sing on a big stage like the Carl Perkins Civic Centre to a captive audience and have it recorded for all time so you can watch it back, and, you know, whether it's in front of your friends, your family, your kids later on, you can say, yep, mum did that, that was me. And maybe you inspire the next generation to do that. But I will say, I was wrong about talent. I never really understood it until now. And I'm sure that if it's done badly, it still could be that sort of dancing monkey or performing monkey syndrome. But I mean, you can say that about absolutely anything in life, can't you? I mean, if it's done badly, it's done badly. But if it's done well, that's what I didn't expect from the talent section. I don't think I'd ever seen that or been able to imagine it done well. Again, the production values factor into that a lot. But the array, the variety of talents on display was amazing. The execution by the girls of those talents, by and large, was equally amazing. I mean, the non-talent winner, Emma Backman, I think she was Miss North Dakota volunteer. She performed the opera from The Godfather, and she was the only one who received a spontaneous standing ovation for her performance. And I mention that because that performance of that opera, it's not even in English. And so it's not like, I mean, you think about that for a second, you might think, oh, if I don't perform in English, no one will understand what I'm talking about. And yet everyone was blown away by the theatre of it, her stage presence, the emotion of it. And whether you understand the lyrics or not didn't make any sort of difference. People were blown away by the emotion, so much so Emma was invited to perform again, that talent, on finals night, just basically as a stage performance to blow everyone away. And it's not about the words, it's not about being understood, it's about expressing yourself, and how that allows the girls to show not only their personality, but in some cases their story. And that story could not only be dreams, hopes, and desires, it could be struggles. As I said, with Haley's piece, she was speaking about her struggles overcoming the bullying or the doubts or the naysaying to do with her speech impediment. And no other section allows you to do that. I mean, I like to think I uncover a little bit of that in the interviews that I do, but I can't do that, you know, with everyone sort of, I can't do that at scale, and I certainly can't do that on the pageant on the pageant stage itself. And so, yeah, talent, I am a convert. I am happy to be a convert, and I'm going to be much more interested to see what people are performing for talent from now on. As I said, I'm sure you can point me in the direction of one or two where I might go, oh, that's a bit painful. But it's like anything else, isn't it? Whether it's a bad interview answer, a bad walk, the bad ones don't mean that the good ones aren't good. And so, talent, let me know your thoughts. If you've ever, if you're thinking about doing a talent, what you're thinking of doing. I'm sure there's some really unique ones out there. Or if you've seen a really amazing talent performance, let me know. Whether it's the more mainstream one of a dance or a song, or maybe something that's a little offbeat, something off the beaten track. I always like the slightly quirky ones. Let me know your thoughts. But talent convert here.